I'm Sam Chwalik. I'd like to start off today by sharing a little story with you. When A.J. Brown was a freshman at Durham Tech Community College, there was a knock at her door late at night. At the door were three investigative officers coming to her house on report of anti-presidential material in her house. The so-called anti-presidential material was only a poster hanging on her wall. This lasted for 45 minutes, and the police didn't have a warrant for their entry. This brings me to my topic today of government surveillance. Today, I'll be going over a little bit about why it may be more serious than you think and what you can do about it. I have been studying this topic for the better half of a year, and so I'll be able to answer any and all questions you have after the speech if I do not answer them in the speech. Hopefully you will pay attention, as many of you interact with technology daily or even hourly, depending on what you do. And so for my first topic, I'd like to go to the next slide. Almost 50% of Americans say that they can somewhat control or very control the amount of data that is collected on them in their daily lives. I'm here to tell you that this number is a lot larger than you may originally think. While many of you may think data can only be surveys, it could also be online discussions, such as what you have in social media, or private discussions, which could be happening in text or direct messaging on social media apps, or even as extreme as being near a microphone while having an in-person conversation with somebody. While that last one may seem a little extreme, it is often shown, at least for companies, to suggest stuff that you often talk about. There is no reason that the government does not monitor the same communication. Hopefully lots of you know that it's a real thing, but it happens a lot more and it's more severe than you think. Now, leading into my next point, what you can do about it. There was a story from a peace group that was meeting in Washington, D.C. for their annual meeting. 20 of the 37 members were stopped in airport security for unknown reasons. It was claimed that someone had been put on a terrorist watch list and an anti-fly list, and that made most of the group stop, but this was not the case. Many thought it was racial profiling because the group was largely Hispanic, but regardless of the reason, a large majority of them were stopped and were able to be tracked on their flights and their groups with their plans already laid out. On the next slide, you can see another survey done by Pew Research Center, where Americans voted on if they were worried about the surveillance of their data. Almost 30 to 40% of them said they were somewhat or greater concerned about their data, and this is a very large number for the amount of public discussion that's going on. Oftentimes, it is only brought up in private discussion and never shared publicly. That's where you come in. A lot of people only share privately, but to get anything done, you have to share publicly. This could be on online forums or in marches or parades for the same thing. If this 30 to 40% of people go out and petition for what they agree on, then it'll put pressure on the government to make laws and regulations around it and inform lesser known people about the issue. Today, we went over a little bit of what government surveillance is and how much it actually affects you and what you can do about it.